Hello everyone, and welcome back to CSSBattle.dev. It is November 5th, and man, if it didn't get complicated real quick. I mean, albeit everybody has at their own skill level, right? But yesterday's was just two simple shapes. You tilt one, you're good to go, send it. This one, I kept going back and forth on what to do here. Eventually I settled on making a bunch of shapes. Though, after I found out I took 5 days off, not 3, 5 days off. It's a lot. But after 5 days away from CSS, I found that I've lost a little bit of practice. I created a bunch of elements when I could have just created a box shadows of one element. Whoopsie daisy. Anyway, lesson learned. We're back at it again. So the way I did this, you make your first big rectangle, or I guess it's a square, right? And then you got to make that border radius about, I think it's half of this shape. Anyway, you got to do particular pixels instead of like a percentage, because you don't want to make a circle. I think it's just easier to do a certain number of pixels anyway. Easier to see when you're messing with it and going back and forth. And then I made 2 more elements to put on those corners. So you see those curves on the inside of the circle. So I just made 2 more squares that had those curves. So instead of like a border radius for the entire thing, I just made 2 border radiuses for the opposite corners. So, you do border radius 0 and then like, I don't know, 50 pixels or something. And it'll make the top left 0 and then the top right 50 and then the bottom right 0, and it goes like clockwise. Anyway, made 2 of those squares, put them in the right place, and then I made 4 more squares to place at the corners of those inner shapes. Which, right there, I could have used box shadow. I could have just put 1 box and then used box shadow to kind of copy and paste the other 3. Oh well, c'est la vie. Anyway, how are you doing? I hope you're taking care of yourself. It's important. If you've got any hobbies, I hope you're living it up, taking some time off. Personally, I find value in learning new things. So I took Spanish class when I was in high school. I did okay. It was passable. I'm better at reading Spanish than I am speaking it. So recently I decided, after finishing the Angular, the Angular Framework Development Certificate. It's basic front end stuff instead of using like JavaScript, CSS, and HTML by themselves, like, what do you call it, vanilla. And doing all this code, I guess you can use a framework like Angular and kind of make, there's a word for it, but basically like make frames or default settings for elements. That way you can use it over and over and over again. And I don't know if I like Angular or like React for that. I get the point of like using copy paste code, and just kind of keeping it in its own section. That way you can use it over and over again. It's just, when you export something you wrote in Angular, it comes out as regular HTML, CSS, and JavaScript anyway. I don't know, maybe I haven't had a big enough project to see the value in using a framework rather than just doing it vanilla. My portfolio is vanilla. I don't know. Anyway, future thinking. My point was, though, with Spanish, after I finished my last coding certificate, I've kind of put that aside. So now I'm just focusing on making projects and pushing them out. And now I'm just, now that I'm not studying frameworks or code every day, like when I go to pick up my son, I have like half an hour to just sit around and do nothing. And sure, I could maybe squeeze in an episode or two, or watch a, I don't know, YouTube video, scroll through Twitter, or sorry, X, whatever you want to call it now. But like I said, I find value in learning new things. And ask me why. It's just a hobby. Is what I consider a hobby, is to learn new things. Crazy, right? Anyway, I picked up the app Duolingo. This isn't sponsored or anything, but so far Duolingo's pretty awesome. It's like Brilliant, if you ever picked that one up. I loved Brilliant. The trouble with Brilliant, though, is like you get the first chapter of every lesson for free. And if you want to go any further, it's like $100 a year, which in big picture, it's not that much, right? But, you know, you lose a job here and there, and you can't afford something like that anymore. So Duolingo is kind of built like Solo Learn, where all of their lessons are free. And if you want to do like ad-free stuff or the more advanced, I guess it's not like advanced lessons. It's more like infinite hearts. Whenever you make a mistake, you lose a heart, and then you have to wait for them to refill. So you don't have to wait for that if you get the premium Solo Learn. Same with Duolingo. You don't have to wait. But everything is available for free on Duolingo. So I thought I'd give it a try. And that's how I'm spending my 30 minutes of downtime practicing Spanish. No, I'm not going to use it right now. I'm not comfortable enough with my Spanish speech. I'm better at, like I said, I'm better at reading. I'm getting better at listening. And sure, I can speak it. But there are some fundamental words that just slip my mind in Spanish. And when I try to form a sentence, it doesn't make sense. I gotta use that broken Spanish, broken English kind of speak. It's frustrating. Like, how do you say backwards? Like, how do you say I'm backing up the car in Spanish? I don't know. But my point here was, however you yourself take care of yourself and find joy in your hobbies, make sure you do it, even if it's just for 30 minutes a day, right? It's like a little break from everything else. It's weird how we fill up our time with as much crunch as we can. It's like even free time is scheduled. And then it feels like, is that even free time, really? Am I ever really free to do what I want? An interesting thought, maybe. But in this busy world, it's nice to have some time to carve out for what you like, for what you enjoy. And I hope you too are doing that. I hope you're doing something that you enjoy. Even if it's for a little bit. Hey, maybe it's watching my videos. Maybe. I like watching my videos sometimes. I like watching my videos and then going back and watching other people's videos doing the same thing. Going, that's what I could have done. That's exactly how I figured out doing the box shadow copy instead of making a bunch of different elements. It's great to see different perspectives in these things. And different skill levels. Man, some of these people using just so little characters, it's crazy. And like, I don't think it's best practices for your own projects, but it works really well when you're doing CSSBattle. Anyway, remember to take care of yourselves, and bye for now.